Welcome to Occult Archives,
Yes, welcome.
where we uncover the mysteries and myths
And legend.
and legends behind history's most feared books.
Yeah, some books you don't want to open.
I know, right? Like, you just know bad things are going to happen if you read these.
Right.
So from mystical grimoires to ancient religious texts,
These books, they carry secrets too dangerous to be read.
this is episode 198,
198,
The Chymical Wedding,
The Chemical Wedding.
the alchemical vision of Christian Rosenkreutz.
All right, so we are diving deep.
We are diving deep today, and I am very excited about this one.
I am too.
Just a quick note for the listener. The edition that we are looking at today comes from a 1690 English translation.
Okay, so a little while after the original?
A little while after the original, which was published in 1616.
16 and 16, okay.
And this book is wild.
Yeah, wild in a wonderful way, though.
In a wonderful way.
Yeah, so this book, it's not your typical historical account.
Not at all.
It is a multi-day allegorical journey.
I love that you said allegorical journey because it's almost like reading a fantasy novel.
It really is like it's filled with these strange encounters.
Uh-huh.
And a landscape so thick with symbolism, it's like walking through a dream.
Right. And it's the kind of book that has fascinated and puzzled people for centuries. Like,
Yeah.
what is going on in this book?
Yeah, it's one of those texts where you finish it and you're like, I need to read that again.
Immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our goal in this deep dive is to really try to understand the first day of this journey.
Yeah, the first day, it's a doozy.
It's a doozy. It's packed
Oh, the packed
with
day.
events, and we just want to try to extract
The key movements, yeah.
the key movements, the essential ideas, just so the listener can really wrap their head around what is going on.
Yeah, grasp that initial
Yeah.
vision
Right.
of this alchemical adventure.
Yeah. And so where does this journey begin for Christian Rosenkreutz?
So it all starts on the eve before Easter Day.
Okay.
Christian Rosenkreutz, he's deep in prayer.
Right. Solitary prayer.
Solitary prayer, yeah.
So just to highlight that, like, he's by himself.
By himself.
He is seeking communion with the divine, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, a moment of intense personal contemplation.
Right. And this is just before a major religious observance, right?
Easter.
It's Easter. So just think about the significance of this timing.
Yes, the timing is really crucial here.
Yeah.
It's a period of reflection, a period of anticipation of renewal,
Yeah.
and then bam,
Right. He's in the middle of his prayer, and then
the unexpected hits.
the unexpected hits, a violent storm breaks out.
Like out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, the text really emphasizes this.
Yeah, Andreae really paints this picture of an apocalyptic storm.
It's almost as if, like, his house is going to get ripped apart.
Yeah, you can almost feel the wind.
And this is a really powerful interruption of his quiet devotion.
It is. It's like the universe is trying to get his attention.
Right. And, it's interesting because the text mentions that Rosenkreutz was no stranger to these kinds of disturbances.
Interesting.
Like, this wasn't the first time.
Yeah, he's no stranger to chaos.
Yeah, he's no stranger to chaos.
Even though sent by, I don't know, negative forces, we could say.
Yeah, he's used to this in a way.
He's a little bit seasoned.
Right. And so this suggests that, he already lived a life that was aware of a deeper,
Right.
perhaps more turbulent spiritual reality.
Right, and that's an important thing to remember throughout this book.
Yes.
That there are these forces at play, these deeper currents that are always present.
Yes. And so amidst all of this external chaos, he gets touched.
He does. There's a physical touch.
Yeah.
A peculiar nudge.
Yeah, what is it? A nudge.
It's a nudge on his back.
On his back.
And this is while he's still trying to pray.
So he's in the middle of prayer.
He's in the middle of prayer.
This is really strange.
Yeah, what do you think that signifies?
I mean, it's clearly like a call to attention, right?
Right, it's like a tap on the shoulder
It's a tap on the shoulder.
from something beyond the ordinary.
Yes.
And it frightens him, right? I mean, it's totally understandable.
Yeah, I'd be freaked out.
Yeah, but he manages to pull himself together, and then it happens again.
There's another nudge.
Not a nudge this time, it's a tug on his coat.
Oh, like someone is trying to get him to turn around?
Yeah, and so finally he turns.
And who does he see?
Well, standing in the middle of this tempest is a remarkable figure. A fair and glorious lady.
Okay, a lady.
A lady.
And she's just standing there in this storm.
In the middle of the storm.
Unfazed.
Unfazed.
Okay.
Now her attire is immediately striking.
Okay, so tell me about what she looks like.
She's wearing these sky blue garments, adorned with golden stars.
Okay, so we're already getting the celestial imagery.
Right off the bat, yeah.
Yeah.
This is not just some random woman.
Right, there's something divine about her.
Exactly. It suggests a connection to the heavens.
Right, so in her right hand, she has a golden trumpet.
Yes. A golden trumpet.
That is inscribed with a secret name.
A secret name that Rosenkreutz can read.
He can read it, but he's forbidden to reveal it.
Forbidden eyes.
Okay, so what does that tell us?
It hints at hidden knowledge, doesn't it?
Mm.
Like there are these esoteric truths that are only accessible to some.
Right, and you can't just go blabbing about them.
Exactly. You don't talk about Fight Club.
Okay.
And in her left hand, she carries this bundle of letters.
Okay.
Written in every single language you can imagine.
Oh, wow, so every language.
And they're destined for all the nations of the world.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. What do you think the implication of that is? This universal message.
It sounds like she's trying to communicate with everybody.
Right. It's transcending all barriers of language and culture.
Yeah, like a global revelation or something.
Exactly. A global revelation.
So she has this golden trumpet, she has all these letters, and then she has
wings. Huge wings covered in eyes.
Covered in eyes.
And she can fly faster than an eagle.
I mean, I'm already getting like biblical angel vibes from this.
For sure.
So this visual of the eyes all over her wings, it's almost like she can see everything right.
It's like she's all-seeing.
Like omniscient.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's aware of things on a scale we can't even fathom.
And so she gives him the trumpet. She gives him the letters.
She doesn't give them to him.
Oh, okay.
She shows them to him.
Okay.
And then, poof, she disappears.
Just like that?
Gone.
Wow. Okay. And Rosenkreutz.
Immediately falls into a dream.
So this is really interesting because we shift from this, what seems like a real encounter, to the dream world.
And that blurring of the lines is intentional.
Right.
Because it makes you question what is real, what is not real.
Right.
What is the nature of reality in this alchemical vision?
It's all very trippy.
It is.
So tell me about this dream.
So in this dream, Rosenkreutz finds himself trapped in a dark tower with a bunch of other people.
Oh, he's not alone.
Not alone.
Okay.
And it's bleak. It's a confined space, no light, and everyone is just filled with despair.
It sounds awful.
It is, and the text makes this point of mentioning that they're all blaming each other. Yeah, for their predicament, they're pointing fingers, saying, you're blind, you led us here. It's just a big blame game.
Yeah, so this lack of unity, this lack of personal accountability, it seems like that's like the starting point of the journey.
Yeah, that's where we begin.
Okay.
And it's interesting to think about because this book is often seen as a journey of transformation.
Right.
So we're starting in this place of darkness and division.
So in the middle of all this despair, they hear something.
They hear music.
They hear music.
But not just any music. It's the sound of trumpets and kettle drums.
Okay.
Played so masterfully that it fills them with this incredible joy.
Really?
Yeah, it revives their spirits. It lifts them out of their despair.
So music as like a divine intervention.
It could be interpreted that way.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, even when we're surrounded by negativity, there can be these moments of unexpected grace.
Yes, and then the roof opens.
Yes, just a crack.
It's just a crack.
But it's enough to let in a sliver of light.
So they can see.
A little bit.
So you would think this would be a good thing, right?
You'd think so, right? Freedom.
Yeah.
But no, chaos erupts.
What do you mean by chaos?
Everyone starts pushing and shoving, desperately trying to get close to that opening.
Oh, no.
Those who manage to climb a little higher, they get pushed back down.
Oh, wow.
It's a brutal fight for position.
Yeah, I guess when you give people a little bit of hope,
It can bring out the worst in them.
yeah, it shows just like how desperate people are.
Right. And how easily that desperation can turn into this kind of selfish ambition.
So amidst this chaotic scene, an ancient man with long white hair appears.
Yes, and he calls for silence.
And what does he say?
His words are very pointed.
Okay.
He talks about the arrogance of humankind
Okay.
and suggests that this arrogance is what led them to their imprisonment in the first place.
So it's almost like a, you know what you did.
Yeah, he's basically saying, look at yourselves. This is what you've done.
Yeah.
And he specifically mentions his mother's legacy and how she wanted to bestow so much good upon humanity.
Okay.
But they weren't receptive.
So because they weren't receptive?
They find themselves in this state of bondage.
Right.
But he also offers a glimmer of hope.
Oh, okay.
He says that his mother will offer gifts that will help some find their way to the light.
Oh.
But he warns that these gifts are often overlooked or dismissed as mere fables.
Okay, so maybe they've already received some gifts, but they don't even realize it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then he announces that a rope will be lowered 7 times.
7 times.
And only those who can hold on will be saved.
Okay.
So it's not a free-for-all. It's not a mass escape.
It's a test.
It's a trial.
Yeah.
And I think that limited number of attempts is really significant
Why is that?
because it emphasizes the scarcity of opportunity.
Right.
You only get so many chances.
And you have to be ready.
You have to be prepared
to seize that moment.
to seize it.
Right.
And so the rope is lowered. And the struggle is even more intense than before.
People are fighting over the rope.
Oh, yeah. They're clawing at each other. Some are even biting.
Oh, my God.
It's a very visceral scene.
So what happens?
Well, the text describes these people who lose their grip. Their hands are torn to shreds.
No.
But they still can't ascend.
So they're trying so hard, but they can't make it.
Yeah. And it's just heartbreaking to read.
So how many people make it out?
On the first 5 attempts, very few.
Really?
The servants are pulling the rope back up so quickly,
Oh, wow.
sometimes with no one on it.
So this must be devastating.
Devastating for those still trapped below.
Right.
Even Rosenkreutz, he cries out to God for mercy.
It's got to feel so hopeless at this point.
Absolutely.
But then on the 6th, try...
Things change.
Okay.
A few people manage to grab hold of the rope,
Okay.
and as it swings back and forth, it brushes against Rosenkreutz.
And he grabs it.
He grabs it instinctively.
And he's lifted out.
He's lifted out of that dungeon.
So he saved...
It's an unexpected salvation.
Yeah. And it seems almost random, doesn't it?
It does. And that randomness, that chance encounter, it plays a really interesting role in this book.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah, like sometimes grace arrives when we least expect it.
Even when we don't feel worthy.
Exactly.
But it gets even more interesting because as Rosenkreutz is climbing up the rope,
Yeah.
he doesn't even notice that he's been injured.
He's got a head wound
He's got a head wound. From what?
from a sharp stone that must have struck him during the climb.
And he doesn't feel it.
Not at first.
Wow, so he's so focused on escaping
The adrenaline is pumping,
that he doesn't even feel the pain.
and it's not until he's helping pull up the others on the 7th and final try that he notices the blood.
So this really speaks to his state of mind, doesn't it?
It does. It's like he's in this altered state of consciousness.
Right, he's not even fully aware of his own body.
Yeah.
And then what happens after everyone who's going to make it out has made it out?
Well, the matron, she has the rope put away. And then she asks her son to deliver a message to those who are still trapped below.
Okay, so she's going to speak to the people who didn't make it out.
Yeah.
And what does she say?
It's an interesting message because it's a blend of hope and warning.
Okay.
She starts by addressing them as childer,
Okay.
and she declares that a long-awaited time has arrived.
Okay.
A time of great change, a time of equality.
Okay.
She talks about a future golden age
Hmm.
where poverty and wealth will be no more.
So she's painting a very utopian picture.
She is.
Okay.
But then she gets very specific.
Okay.
She says that those who held great power in the world,
Uh-huh.
they must now bring much with them.
Okay.
And those who are entrusted with much
Huh.
will lose everything.
So there's a reckoning coming
Yeah, it's a pretty stark warning.
for those who abused their power.
Exactly.
And then she tells them to stop lamenting.
Because their confinement will be brief.
Oh, so there's still hope for them.
Yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But it's clear that there's going to be some kind of judgment.
And so after the ancient man delivers this message,
The dungeon is locked up again.
just like that,
Yeah.
and the music starts playing again.
But this time it can't drown out the cries of those who are left behind.
That's a really powerful image.
It is, and it really speaks to the emotional weight of this whole experience.
And Rosenkreutz is moved by this.
He is. He mentions that he wept along with them.
So even though he's escaped,
He still feels this deep empathy.
for those who are still suffering.
Exactly.
And this really says a lot about his character, doesn't it?
It shows his compassion,
Yeah, his humanity.
even in his own moment of triumph.
And then what happens?
Well, the matron, she directs her servants to release the remaining prisoners from their chains.
Oh, so everyone is eventually freed.
Yeah, but not all at once.
In Rosenkreutz.
He's among the last to be freed,
Okay.
and as soon as his chains are removed, he immediately bows before the matron
Okay.
and gives thanks to God for his deliverance.
And the others?
They follow his example.
Oh, wow. So there's this collective moment of gratitude.
Yeah, it's very moving.
And then the matron, she gives them a gift.
She does. A
Thanks.
gold coin.
A gold coin.
A gold coin.
Okay.
And this coin is very symbolic.
Okay, tell me about it.
One side depicts the rising sun,
Okay.
and the other side has the letters DLS inscribed on it. E-L-S.
What does that mean?
That's a good question.
Yeah, what does it stand for?
We don't know.
So, another mystery.
Yeah.
This book is full of mysteries.
It is. But maybe you, the listener, can figure it out.
Yeah, maybe someone listening right now knows.
Maybe.
And then what does she tell them to do with the coin?
Well, she tells them they're free to go.
They can just leave.
Yeah, but she gives them a very specific instruction.
Oh, what's the instruction?
She tells them to use their newfound freedom to help others.
Okay, so it's not just about their own personal salvation.
No, it's about using their experience to benefit others.
For God's glory.
For God's glory.
But they have to keep it all a secret.
They can't talk about what happened.
Why not?
That's another mystery.
Oh, boy.
Maybe it's because the experience is so personal, so transformative,
Right.
that it can't be put into words.
You can't really explain it to someone who hasn't gone through it.
Exactly.
So they're free to go. But
Yeah.
Rosenkreutz, he's still bearing the marks of his imprisonment.
He's still injured.
He is. He's got these wounds from the chains that are making him limp.
Oh, wow.
And the matron, she notices this
Okay.
and calls him back with a laugh.
A laugh.
Yeah. It's like she finds it amusing.
What does she say to him?
Her advice is very cryptic.
Okay.
She tells him not to be bothered by his limb,
Okay.
but to remember his infirmities
Oh,
and be grateful for reaching such light despite his imperfections.
Right.
And then she adds, keep these wounds for my sake.
Keep these wounds for my sake. What does that even mean?
It's a very strange thing to say, isn't it?
It is. And it's one of those lines in this book that has been debated for centuries.
So no one really knows what it means.
Well, there are a lot of interpretations,
Okay.
but I think the most interesting one is that it's a reminder.
A reminder.
Yeah, a reminder that even in our moments of triumph, we still carry our past with us.
Yeah.
We still have our scars.
Right.
And those scars, they can be a source of strength.
Okay.
They can remind us of what we've overcome,
Right.
and they can connect us to others who have also suffered.
So the matron is telling Rosenkreutz to remember his suffering.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
And to use it to help others.
Okay, so after this encounter, Rosenkreutz prepares for the next stage of his journey.
Yeah, he gets dressed.
Okay. Tell me what he's wearing.
He puts on this white linen coat,
Okay.
and he girds himself.
Okay.
And he wears this blood-red ribbon across his shoulder.
A blood red ribbon.
A blood red.
Okay, so red is obviously a very symbolic color.
Right. It often represents sacrifice, passion.
And on his hat,
4 red roses.
4 red roses. Okay.
To make himself noticeable.
He wants to be seen.
He wants to be seen.
Interesting. And for provisions.
Very simple fare.
Okay.
Bread, salt, and water.
So the essentials.
The essentials, yeah.
And before he leaves his cottage, he prays.
He does.
And what does he pray for?
He prays for a positive outcome to his journey,
Uh-huh.
and he vows to use any knowledge he gains
Okay.
for God's glory
Uh-huh.
and for the service of his neighbor.
So not for his own personal gain?
Exactly. It's all about selfless service.
Okay, and so he sets off on his journey,
He does.
and he comes to a crossroads.
He does.
Okay, and at this crossroads, he finds
A tablet.
a
A
tap.
stone tablet.
Okay.
And on this tablet, there are 4 paths described.
4 paths, 4 different ways to go,
4 different ways to go.
and these paths, they represent.
Different approaches to the journey ahead.
Okay, so tell me about these paths.
So the first path is described as stony and rocky.
Okay. Difficult terrain.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second path is described as long.
Okay, so maybe it's a longer journey?
Yeah. Or maybe it's a journey that requires a lot of patience.
Okay.
The third path is described as royal.
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 Okay, so maybe this path is for those who are worthy.
Yeah. Or maybe it's the path of leadership.
Interesting.
And then the fourth path
Yeah.
is surrounded by fire.
Fire.
Yeah, and it's described as emanating a sense of exaltation.
So this path is both alluring and dangerous.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Rosenkreutz, he's immediately anxious
Why is he anxious?
because he doesn't know which path to choose.
Right.
And he's afraid of making the wrong decision.
Yeah, I mean, if it were me, I'd be freaking out too.
Yeah, it's a big decision.
And he starts thinking about each path.
He does.
And he's worried about what might happen if he chooses the wrong one.
Yeah, he fears a dangerous fall on the rocky path.
Right.
He fears getting lost on the long path.
Uh-huh.
And he doubts his own worthiness for the royal path.
And the fiery path.
He's just intimidated by it.
He doesn't even want to consider it.
It's too much. And he even contemplates turning back.
Really?
Yeah, he's just overwhelmed by the whole situation.
And he's feeling inadequate.
Yeah, he doesn't think he's up to the task.
But then he remembers his
The
dream.
dream of his deliverance from the tower.
And that gives him some comfort.
It does, but He's also wary of relying solely on a dream.
Right.
It's like he knows that dreams can be deceptive,
Right.
so he's still torn.
And this whole internal conflict, it's left him exhausted.
Yeah, and hungry.
Hungry.
And so he takes out his bread to eat.
Okay.
And suddenly a white dove appears.
White dove.
A white dove.
Okay.
And it shares his meal with him.
Oh, wow. That's really sweet.
It's a moment of peace and connection.
Yeah.
But this tranquility, it's short-lived.
Oh, no, why? What happens?
Because a black raven arrives.
The dove's enemy.
The dove's enemy.
Okay.
And the raven is aggressive. It tries to steal the dove's food.
Oh, no.
It completely ignores Rosenkreutz.
Like he's not even there.
Like he's invisible.
And so the dove is forced to flee.
It flies off to the south.
And Rosenkreutz.
He chases after the raven.
He does.
Yeah, in a moment of impulsive anger and distress.
So he's not thinking clearly.
No, he's letting his emotions get the better of him.
And this chase takes him onto one of the paths.
It does.
Oh, no.
And he realizes his mistake.
Because he's now on a path he can't easily leave.
Exactly. He's committed.
Oh, boy.
And to make matters worse, he left his provisions back at the tree.
His bread, his salt, his water.
Everything.
Oh, no.
He can't go back.
Why not?
Because there's a strong headwind.
He can't walk against the wind.
Nope.
So he's stuck. He's stuck. But it's interesting because even though he made a mistake,
Yeah.
the text says that it's effortless to move forward on this path.
It does.
So even though he messed up,
Yeah.
he's still making progress.
It's like he's being guided.
Even when he doesn't realize it.
Maybe our mistakes can sometimes lead us where we need to go.
That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah.
So Rosenkreutz, he accepts his cross, as he calls it.
Yeah, he gets back on his feet.
Oh, yeah.
And resolves to reach his destination before nightfall.
And where does this path lead him?
To a magnificent portal.
A portal.
A grand entrance.
Okay.
Fit for a king.
Okay.
It's described as incredibly beautiful.
Okay.
Adorned with all these noble figures and symbols.
Okay.
Each one holding some hidden meaning.
Oh, wow. So there's a lot to unpack here.
A lot to unpack.
Okay. And above the entrance, there's an inscription.
There is.
What does it say?
It says, Procul, Hinc, Procul, et profani.
And what does that mean?
It means, keep away you who are profane.
So this is a sacred space.
A very sacred space.
And there are other inscriptions as well.
There are.
But Rosenkreutz isn't allowed to reveal them.
Nope.
So more secrets.
More secrets.
And as he approaches this portal, a figure appears.
Yeah, dressed in sky-colored clothing.
Okay, so we're getting the celestial vibes again.
Yeah.
Okay, and Rosenkreutz, he greets this figure.
He does.
And the greeting is returned.
But then the figure immediately asks for a token.
A token?
A token.
Like a password?
Yeah, something to prove that you're supposed to be there.
But Rosenkreutz doesn't have a token.
She doesn't.
All he has left is
his salt.
his salt.
Yeah, remember, he lost his provisions.
Right.
So he offers the salt
To the sky-clad porter?
to the sky-clad porter.
And what does the porter do?
He accepts it,
He accepts the salt.
thankfully,
Okay.
and gives Rosenkreutz a token in return,
Okay.
inscribed with the letters SM.
SS.
M.
SM.
Okay, so more letters to decode.
Yeah, this book loves its acronyms.
So what could this exchange of the salt for the token signify?
Well, salt has a lot of symbolic meanings,
Right.
often associated with purification preservation.
Right.
So maybe it's a necessary offering,
Okay.
a shedding of something basic for
Right.
something more significant.
Like a key.
Yeah, a key to enter the sacred space.
And just as there